doctors expecting the worst.
He wouldn't probably live a week.
Need to get back to school.
That underage teen maintains something entirely different happened once that bedroom door closed.
We just have the oral sex, and that's basically all.
And he says she made a promise about the next time.
She just said next time I'd have a chance to please her.
Back at school, Bubba admits to bragging to his friends, and runaway rumors soon spreading through the school, quickly reaching his ex-girlfriend, Carly, Linda Lusk's daughter.
It was just horrible. Just the worst thing I can imagine.
And she would also hear some startling admissions from her own mother.
She wasn't, denying everything. I mean, she told me, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry.
When we come back, whose story from that bedroom would that community believe? The football player or the former mayor?
And what do you say to the people who say that you were an adult, you were a mother, and that you should have known?
When we return.
Linda Lusk and Bubba Frank both admit to being alone in a bedroom in Linda's house. But what happened next? That's where their stories differ. According to Bubba, they had sexual contact. Now, Linda faces possible criminal charges. But first, she has to face her neighbors. Here again, David Muir.
Whatever happened in the Lusk house that April afternoon, it unleashed lurid rumors ricocheting through Prosser, Washington. Linda Lusk denies she gave oral sex to her daughter's 14-year-old ex-boyfriend. But she says there were some agonizing confessions she needed to make to her own daughter.
She's like, okay, what you're hearing isn't entirely true, but I did have some inappropriate texting and contact with this kid. I was really angry, but not necessarily with my mom, more at big boy.
It's devastating and it was embarrassing, and I was mortified at the pain that I caused my family.
Especially her husband, the principal at the town high school, Kevin Lusk.
Late night conversation. She said, I need to talk to you. It was incredible. I was pretty upset, to say the least. Zillions of questions about what the hell are you thinking?
And Kevin would soon learn there were more than just those text messages. There was a photo sent. She told Kevin that after the teenager repeatedly asked for a photo of her naked, Linda sent him a picture in her bra.
It's like a kid asking for a candy 500 times. You finally just go, here, have a piece. Do I regret it? Was it dumb? Yes. I can't believe I did it.
Kevin Lusk demands of his wife two things.
You better make contact with the police, and you better contact his parents, because those are the right things to do.
The next morning, Linda calls the boy's mother, Heidi Frank.
She just said, I'd really like to get together and talk to you. I've grown very fond of your son, and we've been texting each other back and forth for the last few months, and lately it's got inappropriate on my part. And she said, and if I could go back in time, I would. And she said, it's made me sick to my stomach, and some of his friends have heard about it, and I just wanted to speak to you before you found out from somebody else. And I just started thinking, that is the craziest phone call I've ever gotten.
And as if that jaw-dropping phone call wasn't enough, then came a knock at the door from the Prosser Police Department.
And I said, please tell me this doesn't have anything to do with Linda Lusk. And he just shook his head, yes.
Investigators were now involved, and every night it was the lead story. A small town stunned.
Another shocking twist in the case of former Prosser Mayor Linda Lusk.
The media has just twisted and bashed it and just makes her seem like such a horrible person.
Now some recent text messages and an alleged miscommunication may change the future of this case.
And there was a certain frenzy to it. There's no doubt about it.
But Kevin Lusk would stand by his wife, and we asked him why.
I love my wife. I believe her. I support her. And I'm here probably because somebody actually asked the question, how the hell could this happen?
Taylor.
Linda Lusk's husband and children say they know the reason for Linda's reckless behavior. They say it stems from her loss at home. Another boy in her life, the one she cared for years.
Her children through a divorce and things of that sort, but and I'm sure that me and my husband were preoccupied with our own dealings, but we tried to make it as normal, and as possible as it could be for our kids.
Bubba's mother, Heidi, told us she knew he was not handling the breakup well.
He was a little angry at me at first because I was one that chose to walk away and finally end it.
While at the Lusk home, they say they knew Bubba needed a refuge.
He complained a lot about the parents were going through a divorce. He just appeared to need some nurturing.
I think she just tried to comfort me for the most part.
Linda Lusk would take Bubba and his friends out to eat, take them to practice. Sometimes she'd come and watch. And then there was the texting with Bubba.
You know, how you doing? There was a lot of just chit-chat.
But then they each say the other escalates the texting, becoming flirtatious, even suggestive.
She just like kind of gets more into the text, like they're starting to get dirtier and dirtier.
And when we ask Bubba, is he playing along too?
Yeah.
I think one time he said he wanted to see me without my clothes on, and I'm like, oh, come on. I said, you'd have nightmares. I mean, I would laugh it off. And then he said, oh, well, I bet you do things to yourself when you're by yourself.
Even those texts, she says, don't prepare her for the one she receives while at her store.
I was at work during the day, and he said, if I came down to your shop, would you give me oral sex? I'm embarrassed to say this, but I texted back, WTF, and he's like, oh, well, I'm just joking.
But Linda doesn't stop him, and those text messages continue.
I think I didn't want to hurt him, which seems a little ridiculous.
At the time, she says it seemed harmless and admits to being flattered by a teenager.
There were times when he would say that, oh, you look great and you look hot, and I would just laugh and go, yeah, whatever. I don't think so. And I'm sure that there was something in there that was kind of nice to hear, but it wasn't amorous.
Bubba says the texting with Linda was becoming increasingly risque, admitting to us there was an attraction, but enough to fool around?
Yeah.
And Bubba is beginning to think of Linda very differently. That attraction now mixed with the hormones of a 14-year-old boy.
Just more and more sexual contact, basically with the messaging. It was weird for me just because of how much older she was.
On an April afternoon, he would visit Linda Lusk at home at lunchtime, hoping his former girlfriend's mother, the former mayor, and the principal's wife just might become his first conquest. Admitting to us he told his friends before he went. And what did they say?
Good luck with it.
He remembers arriving at the house.
I go over, and then she opens up the door. We eventually make our way back to Carly's bedroom.
What was about to happen at the Lusk home would change lives forever.
Well, I let him in through the front door, and he came in, and we sat down here on the sofa. Well, there was some construction going on in the other room, and he kept kind of leaning forward and looking, and he just seemed very, very nervous. I had the sense that he wanted to talk to me in private. And so I just took him in this direction. My bedroom's to the right, and I wasn't going to take him in my room. So we just sort of naturally went into my daughter's room.
She just told me to take off my backpack, and then she walks with me into Carly's bedroom.
He sat down on the bed, and I just said, are you okay? And then he was kind of, almost like shaking, nervous.
She said if I was sure if I wanted to go along with it, and I said yeah.
And as Linda described what she says happened next, you could see the discomfort on her husband's face.
I put my hands on his shoulders. I said, what's going on? And then I gave him a hug, thinking he just needed a hug, and then he took his pants down. Honestly, I was shocked. I just froze. And then he took his hands, and it was basically, I just briefly I don't even know, I didn't look down that I even touched him, but I probably did. And I said, I'll be right back. And I left the room, and I went out in the living room, and I felt like I was going to throw up. And I think I just